Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video. My name's Dagget, this is Dagget Designs, and in today's video we're doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be reacting to or giving my commentary on a Chris Garver drawing tutorial here on YouTube. He has gone ahead and done a whole bunch of drawing tutorials, or I guess drawing videos with Tattoo Dough on their channel, which I'll leave a link in the description to the original video for this one. But I'm basically going to be watching that today and giving my commentary. For those of you who don't know who Chris Garver is, he's one of my personal idols. He's an amazing, amazing tattoo artist who specializes in Japanese style tattoos. He's been on a couple of TV shows with Miami Inc. back in the early 2000s, and I think it's called My Tattoo Shop or Tattoo Shop in 2018. And he's the owner of 5 Points Tattoo in New York City. And he's obviously a resident artist there as well. So without further ado, we are going to watch and react along to this video. Let's get it.
All right, so today I'm going to show you how to draw a skull, kind of the Japanese style. So what I normally start with would be just the top of the head shape. I'm going to do a 3/4 view, and then I figure out where I'm going to put the eyes.
So that's really interesting. I tend to draw the top of the head shape, the bottom of the head shape, so that I can get the proportions right, and then usually I drop the eyes in. But yeah, everyone does things differently, and I'd certainly listen to this guy.
The nose. And then I'll put the cheekbones underneath there. Kind of got like this angle here. I don't do them too different for like a Japanese or, you know, whatever kind of skull. It's just the dimensions are a little bit different. Like I'll make the bones a little skinnier, I'll make the eye sockets bigger. I just exaggerate certain things, like the teeth kind of will come out in this angle.
So what he's talking about there essentially is with the Japanese style, things aren't always super anatomically correct. Sometimes you'll sort of shift elements and make them look a little bit different.
And I'll make the teeth really weird. Maybe some missing ones.
I kind of like the shape of the nose too, that's sick. How it's sort of angled forward a little bit.
They can be a little goofier. I think in Japanese art, they have like a lot of the stuff that they draw has a little bit of a sense of humor to it. It's not like they don't do skulls that are like very scary looking. It's a little bit, there's a little bit of comedy involved. Like if you look at Japanese dragons, you know, they kind of have like there's something kind of silly about them when you, not always, but a lot of times they kind of have a goofy.
So that's something really cool to point out as well. When you're drawing Japanese dragons, or pretty much all Japanese characters, there's like a little element of comedy. It's almost a goofy sort of look. So when you draw something like a dragon, a lot of people try to make it really cool and really serious, maybe even evil. They're trying to give it that demonic look. But I always find with Japanese style, especially traditional Japanese style work, it's a little bit better to have them look a little bit playful and, you know, not so serious and angry, I guess. That sort of pushes then into more of a neo-traditional style, like a new traditional Japanese style that I see people do. And it looks cool too, but if you're going for that real traditional style, you know, a little bit more humorous or a little bit sort of more funny and goofy works well.
Look. All right, so I kind of jumped ahead a little bit and I added the jaw on there. So this would be kind of the middle of the face, and this is where the chin would kind of line up.
So you can see he's organizing the front plane of the face like this, and then the side planes of the face. That's important as well.
Usually work on everything a little bit loosely at the same time. This would be the bottom of the nose. This would be the bones around the eye. You know, there's like that little thing right here. I always kind of really make that pronounced. A couple lines underneath there. Figure out the chin. All right, so I made the top of the head a little bit small. It looks like a monkey, so I'm going to make it a little bit bigger.
So that's something I'll point out there as well. Sometimes when you're drawing, you'll sort of have all your guidelines there, your blueprints, and you'll get about sort of halfway through the drawing and then you realize something doesn't look right and you've got to go back in and fix it. That's normal. Like, I know a lot of people will be like, oh, now I have to scrap the whole drawing and start again. No, you don't. That's completely normal within your sketching phase to sort of mess around and do whatever you want. That's why it's a sketch and not a final piece.
And sometimes they got, like with the Japanese ones, they got like this little butt head type of thing. I don't know why, but I think it looks funny. I like it.
He's right too, a lot of them have that.
And, you know, the skull can be kind of bumpy. It doesn't have to be like perfect. If you do it perfectly round, it looks kind of goofy. It looks a little weird.
Yeah, I'm going to interrupt one more time and say that bumpy skull comment, that's so true as well. I think the bumpiness of the skull looks really nice. I don't like to put sort of as many waves as he's putting here, but like everyone's style is a little bit different. But if you do it sort of too smooth, it looks a little bit less realistic. You know, most skulls have these sort of dips and bumps to them, I guess. They're not completely smooth. Now, the other thing is they're harder to tattoo like that.
So, do some cracks. And put the eye sockets in there. All right, so once you got the head, it kind of goes in a little bit. It's all about like the angles. Like the eye goes in here, cheekbone comes out, and then the front teeth kind of come out like this, and the bottom teeth go in like that, and then the chin comes back out. So you have these different planes.
That's super important too. So when you're drawing skulls or something similar like this, try and get those angles down the side of the profile. That's really going to help it stand out, especially if you've got softer elements in the background. Having something angular and sharp in the foreground is going to sort of help. You see a lot of really smooth skulls where the eyebrow ridge and everything is really smooth. It's okay, but if you have it a little bit more angular, it's going to help build a bit of contrast within your lines.
And then once you get to this angle here, the teeth will go here. This is where the jawbone inserts into the cheekbone. And the back of the head, it's a little wobbly there. Some people do the eyes like very round. Put a little shading, bust out some teeth. I like to do a little bit of shading before I start inking. Like, all right, put a little shading here. Just to make sure I got like the dimensions good. Sometimes seeing a little shading helps, like build up the structure.
It's funny, I always struggle with that style of shading, like you're sketching and you just sort of start scribbling. I don't know, it just looks messy to me. I'm a bit of a neat freak and I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so I sort of struggle to do that within my sketching phase. And then when you put your line work on top, it just looks messy. I don't know. It looks really good when he does it, but I don't know, for me it's weird.
So that would be just like a quick sketch. You can scribble. It doesn't have to be anything precise. You know, when you're sketching, that's when you make everything super loose.
Don't stress.
And from here, I think I'm about ready to ink. You can start inking at any area, really. With Japanese, a lot of the things that make it look Japanese are actually...
See right there, he's using one of these. This is like a Pentel. Oh, this is a Tombow actually, but it's got like a little rubber nib on it. It's kind of like a brush pen, but it's a little bit firmer than a brush pen. Gives you nice controlled lines, and you can get that difference in line thickness throughout your artwork. Really nice.
The line work, like you can make things kind of very defined, like crispy, like the end of the line will have like a little blob on it, or you can make it really angular. With the nose, I like to do like make it look like a little cave. Yeah, it gets a little darker, and the deeper you go.
So that's kind of cool too. I like doing that with my skull illustrations as well, is adding these little layers of bone in there, and then you can sort of shade them back like that. Just gives it a lot more depth than if you were to just do a flat black sort of hole in the face.
It gets darker and darker. And then the teeth, with Japanese skulls, it looks like the teeth are usually a little bit extra large. I don't know why they do it, but it's part of the look, I guess. Do a couple dots, make it look like it's been...
I used to always draw my teeth really small with skulls, and it wasn't until I started learning under my mentor, Mikey. He was like, why do you draw your teeth so small? Like, skulls have sort of like naturally sized teeth. And it sort of never occurred to me that I draw my teeth really, really small. That could be a mistake that you're making if you're struggling with your skulls. I love those little dots that he does too, they're cool.
How important is it to study anatomy when you do these?
I think that with some types of things, it's good to study anatomy. With Japanese, they disregard anatomy, and sometimes, like, you can know the anatomy, but then you have to know when you can break the rules. So it'll have like the right look to it. It's kind of hard to explain when you should do it, but...
So that's what I was sort of commenting on before. Like you want things to look anatomically correct, shape-wise and structure-wise, but there's going to be areas where you need to break that anatomical correctness, if that's what we're going to call it, to sort of give your illustration a little bit more character, a little bit more life. You can break certain boundaries with your anatomical structure there, and you'll see that a lot with Japanese illustration. They're not always the most anatomically correct. A lot of the time the characters are going to have these sort of weird characteristics to them. It's, like you said, it's hard to explain, but you need to know where you can and can't do that. So obviously, anatomically, a hand does not have 6 fingers, so you're not going to put 6 fingers on your samurai character. However, the hands might not look completely natural. Maybe the fingers are a little bit smaller than they should be, or something like that. There's these little stylistic differences, and the more you sort of study Japanese tattoo art, the more you're going to see this.
I think that you should have a little bit of knowledge of anatomy. It doesn't hurt, but once you try to make it look super anatomically correct, it starts looking more like a realistic thing, which is cool too. I like to do realistic sometimes. But I think that the more general knowledge you have on anything, the better it is, and it'll actually help you draw everything.
Yeah, that's so true. That is so true. So the more general knowledge you have of a broad variety of different images basically stored up in your head, the better you're going to be at drawing. So, you know, if you learn to draw just one specific thing, that's all you're going to be able to draw. The more sort of broad knowledge you have about how things look and how they're actually built up, that's going to give you a much better ability to draw these things, and it's going to give you that little bit more authority to actually change things without ruining the image.
So I like to make the teeth kind of messed up.
Missing teeth.
This skull has definitely seen better days. The chin kind of comes out, then you have a little dip there.
I like that. Instead of a smooth chin, you have that little arch in the middle there.
Another missing tooth.
Really cool.
Maybe a missing molar. There's like a, you know, the jaw has kind of like two parts. Like this part inserts in, and then there's a little dip, and then you have this piece that sticks into the back of the cheekbone.
Yeah, nice. So sometimes when you see those traditional style skulls, not Japanese, but like American traditional or like old school skulls, and they've got a line sort of down the jaw like this, in between the actual jawbone, that's sort of that dip that he's referring to. They're just extending that down, and then they black shade off it. That's sort of what they're doing there.
These are like where the eyeballs would go. Do a little bit of line shading just so you can.
Those little ridges and loops in the eye holes, nice, really important. They, you know, your eye sockets aren't just hollow straight to your brain. You've actually got these little sort of holes in there where the, I don't know what you call them, but like the veins from the back of your eye, they sort of go through those holes to connect back into your skull. You can tell I'm not a doctor. I love doing all those little squiggles and cracks through the back of the skull. Just extra effect. Looks so cool. So you can see too that the cheekbone actually links up into the back of the skull there.
A little bit of shading lines.
The main part of the skull. So a lot of people sort of do the cheekbone and then end it here, but it needs to sort of come all the way and connect back into the skull on the side plane there. The jaw links in underneath it.
And there's a skull. You know, make sure that you, you know, you don't have to make it too smooth. You can make it kind of bumpy and crazy. Try to put a lot of, I like to try to put a lot of personality into them. You know, they have to have some character.
Yeah.
Even though they're dead, their character left their body, they still got some left.
Bring them back to life.
I like this one. But the fun thing about skulls is you can really just kind of go your own way. You can put a lot of your own flavor into it. You know, just do whatever, however you're feeling, whatever you're thinking. You know, try to put that in there. If you want to make it extra mean, you know, you can just bring that forehead down. You know, I think it's best to just make them look a little crazy. I've drawn a lot of skulls, and I always try to put a different personality to them. It's good to draw them really fast, and then, draw 5 or 6 quick ones, and then just kind of develop the one that you think looks the best out of those.
Alrighty, so that is the conclusion of the video. He gave a really good piece of advice just at the end there. Draw 5 or 6 different skulls and choose the best one and sort of develop that one more. So I think a lot of people will draw an image and they'll get about halfway through it, realize they're not happy with it, and usually it's because their initial sketch wasn't fully developed enough to give them a good foundation to do their line work on. If you have to sketch something 10, 15, 20 times, or if you're really new to illustration and you haven't drawn a lot of these things, and you have to draw something 100 times so that you can get the anatomy right, you can get the features right, before you jump in and try to do line work and coloring, I know it's a little bit boring, but stick with it and stick with the process. Okay guys, I really hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you enjoyed my commentary on this Chris Garver drawing tutorial. Like I said, Chris is an absolute legend. This drawing tutorial or drawing video was really cool, and I hope you guys enjoyed this one. You'll need to leave a comment down below letting me know what you thought. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you're new. I'll see you guys in the next one. Alright, bye-bye. If you like the content that I make and you'd like to support the channel, make sure you smash that like button. And hey, while you're at it, check out one of these other great videos.